I'm standing in the bathroom at my sister's wedding reception, staring at my reflection in the mirror, mascara running down my face, when my phone buzzes. It's a text from Mom. Please don't make a scene. Not today. I want to laugh. I want to scream. Because 4 months ago, I stood alone in a parking lot in my cap and gown, watching families celebrate around me while my phone stayed silent. And now, right now, I can hear my father's voice through the bathroom door, giving a toast about how he'd cross oceans for his little girl. He did cross an ocean. Just not for me. Let me back up, because this didn't start at the wedding. It started way before that, in all the small moments I told myself didn't matter. I'm Emma, I'm 24, and I spent my entire life being the responsible one. The one who didn't need the attention. The one who had it figured out. My sister Melissa is 28. She's always been different from me. Where I'm quiet, she's magnetic. Where I plan, she improvises. And where I achieve, she exists, I guess. That sounds cruel. I don't mean it to be cruel. But it's true. Growing up, I learned early that my accomplishments were expected. Melissa's were celebrated. I made honor roll every semester from 6th grade through high school. Dad would glance at my report card, nod, and say, "Good job, kiddo." When Melissa passed her driver's test on the 3rd try, he took her out for dinner and posted about it on Facebook. I told myself it didn't bother me. I told myself I was being petty for even noticing. But I noticed everything. I noticed that when I got into college, Dad said, "Well, with your grades, they'd be crazy not to take you." When Melissa got into community college, he called everyone he knew to share the news. I noticed that my high school graduation party was a backyard barbecue with immediate family. Melissa's was a rented venue with a DJ. I noticed when I won the regional science fair in 10th grade, Dad said, "That's great, honey," while reading the newspaper. When Melissa made the JV cheerleading squad her junior year, he bought a video camera specifically to record her performances. I noticed when I got my first job at 16, working after school at the library, Dad told me it would teach me responsibility. When Melissa wanted spending money at 18, he just gave her his credit card and told her not to go crazy. I noticed when I saved up for my first car, bought it myself with money from that library job and birthday gifts I'd hoarded for 2 years. Dad co-signed on a lease for Melissa's brand new sedan the day after she got her license. I noticed. But I stayed quiet. Because that's what I did. That's who I was. The thing about being the responsible child is that you become invisible in your competence. You don't need help, so you don't get attention. You don't ask for validation, so you don't receive it. And eventually, your family starts to believe that you genuinely don't need them at all. They start to believe you're fine. Always fine. No matter what. And maybe I believed it too, for a while. Maybe I convinced myself that I preferred it this way. That I liked being independent, self-sufficient, the one who had everything under control. But that was a lie I told myself to make the loneliness hurt less. I was in my senior year of college when everything came to a head. I was graduating with honors from a competitive program in biomedical engineering. I'd lined up a job at a respected research facility starting that summer, and for the first time in my life, I wanted my family there. Not just present, but proud. Actually proud. Not the absent-minded good job kind of proud. The real kind. The kind Dad showed when Melissa did anything at all. I called Dad 2 months before graduation. It was a Saturday afternoon. He was in his office at home, the one with the big mahogany desk and the leather chair and the window overlooking the backyard where we used to play as kids. I could hear him typing while we talked. "Dad, I wanted to make sure you had the date saved. May 15th. Graduation is at 2. May 15th, he repeated, still typing. I could hear the keys clicking. "Yeah, I think that should work." "You think?" "Dad, this is really important to me." The typing stopped. "Emma, of course we'll be there. Why are you getting worked up?" "I'm not worked up. I just want to make sure." Consider it done, he said. Then the typing resumed. Was there anything else? I've got a conference call in 5. No. That's it. Great. Love you, kiddo. The call ended before I could say it back. I told myself it was fine. He said he'd be there. That was enough. I was being needy, anxious, overdramatic. He'd be there. Of course he'd be there. But over the next 2 months, little things kept happening that made that cold anxiety settle deeper into my chest. I'd call to talk about the ceremony, and he'd be distracted. I'd text him details about parking, about the schedule, about which section they should sit in to have the best view, and he'd respond hours later with a thumbs-up emoji. When I asked if he wanted me to reserve seats, he said, "Don't worry about it, we'll figure it out." 2 weeks after that first call, I sent him the official graduation announcement. The nice one, printed on heavy cardstock with gold lettering. I included a note about how much it would mean to me to have them there. He texted back, "Got it. Looks fancy." That was all. I told myself I was overthinking it. Reading too much into his responses, or lack thereof. He was busy. He ran his own consulting business, had clients, had obligations. Of course he couldn't spend all his time focused on my graduation. But he'd found time for Melissa's community college graduation. Had taken a whole week off work. Had thrown her that party, invited 50 people, given a speech that made everyone cry. 3 weeks before my graduation, Melissa called me. I was in the library, surrounded by textbooks, cramming for finals. Organic chemistry, advanced physics, biomechanics. My brain felt like it was going to leak out of my ears. "Hey Em, I have news." Her voice was bright, excited, practically vibrating through the phone. "What's up?" Derek proposed. Derek was her boyfriend of 8 months. Nice guy, kind of boring, worked in insurance. They'd met at some networking event. I hadn't realized they were that serious, but then again, Melissa fell hard and fast for everyone she dated. Oh my God, congratulations! I meant it. Despite everything, I loved my sister. When did this happen? Last night. He took me to that restaurant downtown, the fancy one with the prix-fixe menu, and he had them put the ring in my dessert. It was so perfect, Emma. So perfect. Like something out of a movie. That's amazing. I'm really happy for you. And we set a date. Something cold settled in my stomach. A premonition. Already? June 12th. I know it's fast, but Derek's parents are flying in from Portland, and his mom has this health thing, some kind of lung issue. She needs oxygen sometimes, so we want to do it while she can still travel comfortably. Plus, why wait, right? When you know, you know. June 12th. Less than a month after my graduation. Wow, that is fast. Are you sure you don't want to take more time to plan? We're keeping it simple. Well, simple-ish. Dad's already looking at venues. He's so excited, Em. He's like a little kid. It's adorable. Dad was already looking at venues. My graduation was in 3 weeks, and Dad was looking at wedding venues. That's great, I said, and my voice sounded hollow even to me. Are you okay? You sound weird. Just tired. Finals. Oh, right. God, I don't miss that. Hey, I want you to be my maid of honor. Of course, I said automatically. I'd love to. We talked for another 20 minutes about venues and dresses and flowers and color schemes. She was so happy, so excited, talking a mile a minute about napkin colors and whether to do a sit-down dinner or a buffet and if June was too early for peonies. I made the appropriate noises, said the right things, tried to match her energy. But that cold feeling in my stomach never went away. After we hung up, I sat in the library for a long time, staring at nothing. Students moved around me, whispering, studying, stressing about their own finals. Life continuing as normal while mine tilted sideways. It's fine, I told myself. People can be excited about two things: graduation and wedding. Both important. Both celebrated. But I knew. Somewhere deep down, I already knew. The wedding would consume everything. Melissa's happiness, Melissa's big day, Melissa's needs. And my graduation would be a footnote. An afterthought. The thing that happened before the main event. I tried to push the thought away. Tried to focus on studying, on finals, on getting through the next few weeks. But that cold feeling stayed. 2 weeks before graduation, Dad called me. Not a text. An actual call. My heart lifted stupidly, hopefully. Hey kiddo, quick question about your graduation. Yeah? What time does it end? Trying to figure out logistics. My heart lifted higher. He was planning. Making arrangements. It's about 3 hours total, so probably around 5. Why? Just planning. Your mother wants to know if we should make dinner reservations after. That would be nice, I said, surprised. Maybe I'd been wrong. Maybe he was planning something. A celebration, just for me, to mark the occasion. Great, I'll have her look into it. How are finals going? We talked for a few more minutes about school, about my job starting in July, about nothing particularly important. But it felt good. It felt normal. It felt like maybe, finally, he was paying attention. I'm really proud of you, he said before we hung up. 4 years of engineering. That's no joke. Thanks, Dad. You're going to do great things, Emma. I know it. I held on to those words for days. Turned them over in my mind like precious stones. He was proud. He said it out loud. He was coming to graduation, planning dinner after, acknowledging my achievement. I should have known better. The week before graduation, I barely heard from him. I texted twice to confirm he was still coming, still planning dinner. Both times, he responded yes with nothing else. Just, yes. No details, no enthusiasm, no acknowledgement of what I was actually asking. On Monday, 5 days before the ceremony, I called Mom. Hey honey. What's up? Just wanted to confirm Saturday. Graduation. 2 o'clock. We know, sweetie. It's on the calendar. Okay. Good. And Dad's still coming? Of course he's coming. Why wouldn't he be? I don't know. He's been kind of distant. He's just stressed about the wedding planning. Melissa needs a lot of help, and Derek's family is being difficult about the venue. They want this country club in Portland, but Melissa wants to stay local, and it's turning into this whole thing. The wedding is a month away, Mom. Graduation is in 5 days. I know, honey. And we'll be there. Don't worry so much. But I did worry. The cold feeling in my stomach had spread to my chest, my throat, making it hard to breathe. On Thursday, 3 days before the ceremony, Mom called me. I was packing up my apartment. For years of accumulated stuff, textbooks and clothes and kitchen supplies and memories, all going into boxes. My lease was up the day after graduation. I had to be out by Sunday. Honey, I need to talk to you about this weekend. My hand stopped moving. A sweater half folded in my lap. What about it? Your father is really stressed about the wedding planning. Melissa needs a lot of help, and Derek's family is being difficult about everything. The venue, the guest list, the menu. It's a lot. Okay, I said slowly. But graduation is Saturday. The wedding isn't for a month. I know. I just want you to understand if he seems distracted. He's got a lot on his plate. Mom, this is my college graduation. And we'll be there. I'm just saying, be patient with him. You know how he gets when he's stressed. I did know how he got. I knew exactly how he got. Short-tempered, dismissive, completely absorbed in whatever problem was in front of him to the exclusion of everything else. "This is important to me," I said quietly. "And it's important to us too." "Emma, why are you being like this? We said we'd be there." "We'll be there." "Okay. Don't use that tone." "What tone?" "That tone. Like you don't believe me." "We're your parents. We love you. We'll be at your graduation." "Okay," I said again. After she hung up, I sat on my half-packed floor and tried to convince myself everything was fine. They'd be there. They said they'd be there. I was being paranoid, anxious, needy. But that night, I saw the Facebook post. Melissa had posted a photo. Her and Mom at a bridal boutique, holding champagne glasses, surrounded by white dresses. The caption, "Mother-daughter wedding dress shopping. Found the one. Can't wait for June 12th. 2 hearts." Posted at 2:47 p.m. Thursday. 3 days before my graduation. They'd gone dress shopping. Not for my graduation dress. For Melissa's wedding dress. I stared at that photo for a long time. At their smiling faces, their champagne glasses, their happiness. I wanted to call them. Demand to know why they were dress shopping 3 days before my graduation instead of, I don't know, thinking about me for 5 minutes. But I didn't call. Because I already knew the answer. Friday night, I couldn't sleep. I kept checking my phone, waiting for a text from Dad. Something. Anything. A "good luck tomorrow" or "can't wait to see you walk" or literally any acknowledgement that in less than 24 hours, I'd be accomplishing something I'd worked toward for 4 years. Nothing. At 11:47 p.m., Melissa texted, "Good luck tomorrow, Em. Sorry I can't be there, stupid work conference. But you're going to kill it. Love you." At least she remembered. At least someone remembered. I texted back, "Thanks. Love you too." Then I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, waiting for morning. Saturday morning, I woke up at 6. Ceremony wasn't until 2, but I couldn't stay in bed. Couldn't sleep, couldn't relax, couldn't think about anything except the fact that today was the day. 4 years of work. 4 years of late nights and early mornings, of stress and panic attacks and crying in library bathrooms, of sacrificing my social life and my sanity to make it through one of the hardest undergraduate programs in the country. Today was the day it all paid off. I did my hair carefully. Curled it, pinned it back, made sure every piece was perfect. I did my makeup, not too much, just enough. Natural, polished, sophisticated. I wanted to look like an adult. Like someone who'd accomplished something worth celebrating. I put on the dress I'd bought specifically to wear under my gown. Navy blue, simple, elegant. I'd spent 2 weeks searching for it, trying on dozens in different stores until I found the perfect one. I looked at myself in the mirror. I looked good. Professional, capable, successful. I looked like someone whose father should be proud. I took a photo in the mirror, just me in my navy dress, my carefully done hair, my nervous smile. I almost posted it to Instagram but stopped. Who was I posting it for? Who would care? My phone said 9:23 a.m. Still hours before I needed to leave. I made coffee. Couldn't drink it. Made toast. Couldn't eat it. At 10:15, I texted Dad, "Big day. See you there?" The message showed as delivered. Then read. 10:16 a.m. Read. No response. At 11:30, I got my cap and gown from where I'd hung them carefully in my closet. Black polyester, generic and identical to everyone else's. But mine had a gold cord for honors. That felt important. Like visible proof that I'd done something worth noticing. I put them on over my navy dress. Checked myself in the mirror again. I looked like a graduate. Like someone who'd made it. I took another photo. This time I did post it to Instagram. Caption: for years later, Sparkle's graduation cap. Melissa liked it immediately. Commented, so proud of you. 2 hearts, 2 hearts, 2 hearts. Mom liked it 10 minutes later. No comment. Dad didn't like it at all. At 12:30, I drove to the ceremony venue. A huge outdoor amphitheater on campus, rows and rows of white chairs set up on the lawn, a stage decorated with university banners and flowers. It was already filling up. Families everywhere. Parents with cameras, grandparents with walkers, little siblings running around in their fancy clothes. Balloons, signs, flowers. Everyone celebrating someone. I parked and sat in my car for a minute, watching. A girl I recognized from my program was taking photos with her family. Her mom was crying already, dabbing at her eyes with a tissue. Her dad had his arm around her shoulders, beaming. I checked my phone. 12:47 p.m. No messages. I texted Dad, I'm here. Ceremony starts at 2. Where are you guys? The message showed as delivered. Then read. 12:48 p.m. Read. No response. I got out of my car. Walked toward the check-in area where graduates were supposed to gather. Other students were arriving with their families, everyone hugging and taking photos and crying happy tears. I checked in alone. Got my name card that I'd hand to the announcer when it was my turn to walk. Found my seat in the graduate section, arranged alphabetically. At 1:30, they started herding us into formation. Rows and rows of graduates in identical black gowns. I was in the middle somewhere, row 12, seat 8. I texted Dad again, Dad? Read. No response. At 1:45, I called. Straight to voicemail. I called Mom. It rang 4 times, then went to voicemail. The cold feeling from weeks ago came back, but worse now. Heavier. Like a stone in my chest, pressing down, making it hard to breathe. At 1:55, they started lining us up. The girl behind me, someone I barely knew, was bouncing on her toes, so excited she could barely stand still. This is it, she kept saying. This is actually it. Yeah, I said. It is. At 2:03, my phone buzzed. Finally. I looked at the screen, hope and relief flooding through me so powerfully I felt dizzy. Dad, something came up. We'll celebrate later. That's it. That's all it said. Something came up. We'll celebrate later. Not I'm sorry. Not emergency. Not on our way but running late. Just, something came up. We'll celebrate later. I read it 3 times, waiting for more. An explanation, an apology, another message saying this was a joke, that he was parking right now, that he'd be there in 5 minutes. But that was it. That was all I got. My hand started shaking. Actually shaking, trembling so hard I almost dropped my phone. The girl behind me touched my arm. Are you okay? Fine, I whispered. My voice didn't sound like my voice. I'm fine. I wasn't fine. She looked concerned. Do you need to sit down or? I'm fine, I said again, harder. She backed off, looking hurt. I should apologize, I thought. She was being nice. But I couldn't. Couldn't speak, couldn't think, couldn't do anything except stand there holding my phone with shaking hands, reading those 8 words over and over. Something came up. We'll celebrate later. They started the processional music. Pomp and Circumstance, the same song that's played at every graduation everywhere. We began walking. I was somewhere in the middle of the line. Maybe 50 people ahead of me, 100 behind. All of us in identical black gowns, all of us walking toward the same moment. I looked out at the audience as we processed in. Hundreds of people. Maybe 1,000. Families packed into rows of white chairs, holding signs and balloons and flowers. Cameras already recording. Phones held high. Everyone there for someone. I scanned the section where I'd told my parents to sit. The section with the best view of the stage, where they could see me walk clearly, get good photos. Empty seats. They hadn't just skipped. They'd never even intended to come. Never reserved seats, never showed up, never planned to be here. The ceremony is a blur in my memory now. I remember sitting in my assigned seat, row 12, seat 8. I remember the speeches, the dean, the valedictorian, some famous alumnus I'd never heard of. But I couldn't tell you what any of them said. The words washed over me like water, meaningless. I remember the girl next to me whispering excitedly to her family in the audience, blowing kisses at them every few minutes. They'd wave back, hold up signs with her name on them. I remember checking my phone every few minutes, waiting for another text. An explanation. An apology. And on our way. Nothing. I remember when they started calling names. Rows of students standing, walking to the stage, getting their diplomas, moving their tassels, walking back. Row by row, getting closer. I remember when they called my row. We stood. Filed out. Lined up at the side of the stage. One by one, students ahead of me walked across. Shook hands with the dean. Received their diploma covers. The audience cheered for each one. Families screaming names, whistling, making noise. Then it was my turn. I handed my name card to the announcer. Emma Catherine Morrison, graduating summa cum laude with a Bachelor of Science in Biomedical Engineering. I walked across the stage. The sun was bright. The audience was huge. I kept my eyes forward, didn't scan for my parents because I knew they weren't there. I shook hands with the dean. She smiled at me, said congratulations. I smiled back, said thank you. I took my diploma cover. Empty. The real diplomas would be mailed later. I moved my tassel from right to left. The official photographer took my picture. I smiled. The flash went off. And I walked off the other side of the stage. The whole thing took maybe 30 seconds. No cheers. No applause beyond the polite smattering everyone got. No one called my name, no one screamed "That's my girl." I'd graduated summa cum laude from one of the hardest programs at one of the best universities in the state. And I did it in complete silence. I walked back to my seat. Sat down. Held my empty diploma cover in my lap. The ceremony continued. More names, more students, more families cheering. I sat there feeling nothing. Completely nothing. Numb. After the last name was called, after the final speech, after we all stood and moved our tassels together and threw our caps in the air, I didn't throw mine, just held it. After all of that, they dismissed us. Families flooded onto the lawn. Hugging, crying, taking photos. Flowers being handed over, balloons released, pure joy everywhere I looked. I stood to the side, holding my cap and empty diploma cover, watching. Jessica, my roommate and friend from the engineering program, found me in the chaos. Her family was with her, parents, little brother, grandparents. Her mom was crying, mascara everywhere. Her dad had a bouquet of roses. Emma. We did it. Jessica threw her arms around me. Can you believe we actually graduated? Yeah, I said. Crazy. She pulled back, looked at me. Where's your family? They couldn't make it. Her smile fell. What? Are you serious? Something came up. Emma, she looked horrified. What could possibly be more important than this? I shrugged. Couldn't speak. Her mom heard and came over, pulling me into a hug even though we'd only met a few times. Oh honey, I'm so sorry. That's terrible. It's fine, I managed. Really? It's not fine, Jessica said. She was getting angry now, on my behalf. Emma, this is your graduation. You graduated summa cum laude. You're starting an amazing job. This is huge. I know. Come to dinner with us, her mom said immediately. We're going to that Italian place downtown. Please come. I have plans, I lied. But thank you. Are you sure? Yeah. I'm good. Jessica looked like she wanted to argue, but her little brother was tugging on her gown, excited about something. Her grandmother was calling for photos. Text me later? Jessica said. Promise? Promise. I didn't text her later. After they left, I walked back to my car. Still in my cap and gown, carrying my empty diploma cover, walking through campus while families celebrated around me. A group of graduates passed me, all wearing matching Hawaiian shirts under their gowns, arms around each other, singing the school fight song off-key. A couple was taking photos by the fountain, the graduate standing between her parents, all of them laughing about something. A dad was crying while his daughter tried to console him, both of them laughing through tears. Life. Joy. Celebration. I walked through it invisible. Back in my apartment, surrounded by half-packed boxes, I finally took off the gown. I hung it carefully on the back of my door, smoothing out the wrinkles. 4 years. 4 years of work, of stress, of late nights and early mornings and panic attacks over exams and projects and presentations. 4 years of sacrificing my social life, my sleep, my mental health to make it through this program. 4 years of building toward this one moment. And they didn't come. I looked at my phone. No new messages. No calls. No missed anything. I should call them, I thought. Demand an explanation. Make them tell me what was so important that they couldn't show up for 3 hours of my life. But I didn't call. Because part of me didn't want to hear the answer. Part of me knew the answer would hurt worse than the not knowing. Instead, I did something stupid. I opened Instagram. And there it was. A photo, posted 2 hours ago. Right around when my ceremony was starting. My father, at an airport. Smiling, carry-on bag at his feet, boarding pass in hand. Wearing his good jacket, the one he wore for important business meetings. The caption, off on an adventure. Some things you just can't miss. Airplane. I stared at that photo for a long time. At his smile. At the timestamp. 2 hours ago. 2 hours ago, when I was sitting in that chair, row 12, seat 8, waiting for my name to be called. He hadn't forgotten. He hadn't had an emergency. He'd made a choice. He'd chosen to get on a plane and go somewhere else. The location tag said Los Angeles. I scrolled through my feed numbly, looking for more information. More photos. Anything to explain. Mom had posted too. A repost of Melissa's photo from the day before, the two of them at a bridal shop. Mom had added her own caption, Mother-daughter wedding planning day. Couldn't be more excited for my baby girl's big day. 2 hearts. Posted 4 hours ago. They'd been together. Both of them. Wedding planning while I graduated alone. I kept scrolling. Melissa had posted something new. A photo of a wedding venue, outdoor, beautiful, string lights everywhere, tables set up for a reception. The caption, found our dream venue. Thank you, Dad, for flying out here with me to see it in person. Derek and I are going to have the most amazing day. Smiling face with hearts. Posted 1 hour ago. Los Angeles. Dad had flown to Los Angeles to look at wedding venues with Melissa. On my graduation day. The ceremony had been at 2 o'clock. His flight must have been early morning. Which meant he'd planned this. Booked the flight days ago, maybe weeks ago. Made the decision to miss my graduation and fly across the country for Melissa's wedding venue shopping. Made the choice. I want to tell you I cried. I want to tell you I threw my phone, screamed, broke down. But I didn't. I just sat there on my half-packed floor, still wearing my navy dress, holding my phone, staring at photos of my father and sister smiling in California while I graduated alone. Feeling absolutely nothing. Numbness. Complete numbness. That numbness lasted 3 days. I finished packing my apartment mechanically. Loaded boxes into my car. Cleaned every surface until the place was spotless. Left my keys on the counter and walked out. For years of my life, packed into a sedan. I drove home because my lease was up and I had nowhere else to go until my job started in July. 5 weeks of living with my parents. 5 weeks of pretending everything was fine. Home. My childhood house. The 2-story colonial with the blue shutters and the big oak tree in the front yard. The house where I'd grown up, where I'd lived until college, where my bedroom was. I pulled into the driveway at 3 p.m. on Tuesday, 3 days after graduation. Mom's car was there. So was Dad's. They were both home. I sat in my car for a minute, looking at the house. Part of me wanted to drive away. Keep driving. Go anywhere else. But I had nowhere else to go. I got out. Grabbed one box from my trunk. Walked to the front door. It was unlocked. I walked in. Mom was at the dining room table, surrounded by wedding invitations. Addressing envelopes in her careful handwriting. She looked up when I came in. "Emma. You're here." She stood up, came over, hugged me. Like nothing had happened. Like everything was normal. "How was the drive?" "Fine," I said. "I'm so glad you're home. Melissa needs help with the seating chart. You're good at organizing things." I just looked at her. "Are we going to talk about it?" "Talk about what, honey?" "Graduation. The fact that neither of you came to my college graduation." Mom's smile faltered. Just for a second. Then it was back, bright and dismissive. "Oh, Emma. Don't be dramatic. Your father had a business opportunity he couldn't miss. And I needed to help Melissa with the dress shopping. We explained all this." "You didn't explain anything. Dad sent me a text 3 minutes before the ceremony started saying something came up. Well, things got hectic. You know how it is." "No, Mom. I don't know how it is." "Explain it to me." She sighed, like I was being difficult. Like I was a child throwing a tantrum over nothing. "Emma, you're 24 years old. You don't need us holding your hand anymore. Melissa needs support right now. Wedding planning is incredibly stressful, and she's counting on us." "And graduating college isn't stressful?" "Of course it is. And we're very proud of you. But you're so independent, honey. You've always been independent. You don't need the same kind of support Melissa does. You understand that, don't you?" I understood. I understood perfectly. "Where's Dad?" I asked. "Still in California. He's meeting with some investors for Melissa and Derek's restaurant idea." "Did she tell you about that?" "Derek's always wanted to open a restaurant, and your father thinks it's a great investment opportunity." "Melissa and Derek are opening a restaurant?" "Well, it's Derek's dream, really. But your father is helping with the startup costs." "Isn't that generous?" "Generous. Right. When is he coming back?" "Thursday. They're looking at a few more venues tomorrow, and then he's got meetings Wednesday." They. Dad and Melissa. Together in California. Wedding planning and restaurant planning and father-daughter bonding while I'd stood alone on a stage. "Great," I said. "Don't be like that." "Like what?" "Sulky. It doesn't suit you, Emma. You're better than this." I left her at the dining room table with her wedding invitations and went upstairs to my room. Except it wasn't my room anymore. It had been converted into a guest room/storage space. My old posters were gone, the periodic table, the NASA photos, the band posters from high school. Replaced with generic beach photographs in cheap frames. My bookshelves were gone, replaced with a dresser I'd never seen before. My bed was still there, but it had different sheets. Neutral beige instead of the purple I'd picked out sophomore year of high school. My desk was covered in Mom's craft supplies. Scrapbooking materials, ribbon, fancy scissors. There was no space for me here. Not really. I put my box down in the corner and sat on the edge of the unfamiliar bed in my childhood bedroom. And finally, I let myself cry. Not the dramatic sobbing I'd expected. Just quiet tears. The kind that feel inevitable. Like rain. Like they'd been building for years and finally had permission to fall. I cried for the little girl who made honor roll and got a nod while her sister got a party for passing remedial math. I cried for the teenager who saved for 2 years for a car while her sister got one handed to her. I cried for the college student who worked 3 jobs to pay tuition while her sister got spending money from dad's credit card. I cried for the graduate who walked across that stage alone. I cried until my eyes were swollen and my head ached and I had nothing left. Then I went to the bathroom, washed my face, and came back to unpack. This was my life now. For 5 weeks. Until my job started and I could leave again. I could survive 5 weeks. Dad came home Thursday evening. I was in the kitchen making dinner, pasta, simple, easy. Mom had asked me to cook since she was busy with wedding stuff. I heard his car in the driveway. The front door opening. His voice, loud and cheerful. "I'm home." Mom rushed to greet him. I heard them talking in the entryway, heard her asking about the trip, heard him laughing about something. Then he walked into the kitchen, all smiles, carrying a bottle of wine and a bag from some fancy California chocolate shop. There she is. The college graduate. He said it so cheerfully, so normally, that for a second I thought maybe I'd imagined the whole thing. Maybe I'd overreacted. Maybe there was a reasonable explanation and everything was actually fine. Then he put the wine and chocolates on the counter and said, "California was incredible. Got Melissa set up with some serious investors. This restaurant is going to be something special. Derek's got a real vision." "You missed my graduation," I said quietly. I was stirring pasta sauce. Didn't look at him. Kept my eyes on the pot. "What's that?" "My graduation." "You missed it." His cheerfulness dimmed slightly. "Emma, come on. We talked about this. The California meeting was time sensitive. Those investors weren't going to wait around. I asked you 2 months in advance to save the date. And I wanted to be there. But business opportunities don't run on our schedule. You're smart enough to understand that." I finally looked at him. "I'm smart enough to understand that you chose not to come. That's not fair. Isn't it? You bought a plane ticket. You flew across the country. You made a choice. You just didn't choose me." He sighed, running a hand through his hair. The same gesture he'd always made when I was being difficult. "Emma, I don't know what you want me to say. I had obligations. Important obligations for your sister's future." "What about my future?" "You're fine. Look at you. You've got a job lined up, you graduated with honors. You're starting at a prestigious research facility in 5 weeks. You don't need me smoothing the path for you. Melissa does." And there it was. The truth, said out loud. "You don't need me." "Right," I said. "Okay. Don't be like that." "Like what?" "Sulky. Petulant. It's not attractive, Emma. You're better than this." The same thing Mom had said. Like they'd coordinated. Like they'd discussed how to handle my unreasonable emotions. I turned off the stove. "Dinner's ready." I left the kitchen. Went to my not really my room. Closed the door. I heard Dad ask Mom what was wrong with me. I heard Mom say I was being dramatic. I stayed in my room the rest of the night. Over the next few weeks, everything became about the wedding. The entire house revolved around it. Melissa was there constantly, always with new crises, new problems, new drama that required immediate attention. The flowers weren't right. The caterer was being difficult about dietary restrictions. Derek's mother had opinions about everything. The bridesmaids' dresses came in the wrong shade of blush pink. I helped with all of it. Because that's what you do. That's what the responsible child does. You help. You organize. You solve problems. You make yourself useful. I addressed invitations in my careful handwriting. I made phone calls to vendors, negotiating prices, and confirming details. I created color-coded spreadsheets for the budget, the timeline, the seating arrangements. I listened to Melissa cry about how stressful everything was. And nobody asked me how I was doing. Not once. Not about graduation, not about my job starting soon, not about anything. I was useful. But invisible. 6 weeks before the wedding, Dad sat us all down for a family meeting. This usually meant he had an announcement. Something important. We gathered in the living room. Dad in his armchair, Mom on the couch, Melissa and Derek squeezed together, holding hands. Me in the chair by the window, separate. So, Dad said, smiling at Melissa and Derek across the room. Your mother and I have been talking, and we want to give you kids a proper start. Melissa's eyes lit up. What do you mean? We're covering the full cost of the wedding. No expense spared. Whatever you want, you get. And we're putting a down payment on a house for you. Melissa actually screamed. A high-pitched squeal of pure joy. She jumped up, ran around the coffee table, threw her arms around Dad. Are you serious? Oh my God, are you serious? Dead serious, princess. You're my baby girl. I want to give you the world. Derek looked stunned. Sir, that's incredibly generous. We can't accept. Nonsense. Family takes care of family. You're going to be my son-in-law. That makes you family. Mom was crying happy tears. Dabbing at her eyes with a tissue. We just want you to be happy, sweetheart. Melissa was still hugging Dad, crying now too. Thank you, Daddy. Thank you so much. This is amazing. You're amazing. I sat very still, watching this happen. Watching my sister receive what I estimated to be over $100,000 in gifts. Watching my parents beam with pride at their generosity. Watching Derek stammer his thanks. Nobody looked at me. Emma, isn't this exciting? Mom finally said. Very exciting, I said flatly. Don't be jealous, Melissa said. She was smiling, teasing, too happy to notice my tone. Your turn will come. Right, I said. My turn. Except my turn had already come. And nobody had noticed. That night, in my temporary bedroom, I did the math. The wedding Dad was paying for, according to Melissa's excited estimates, was costing around $80,000. The venue, the catering, the flowers, the photographer, the band, the dress, everything. The down payment on a house in their desired neighborhood, a nice suburb, good schools, 3 bedrooms, would be at least another $50,000. $130,000. For Melissa. I'd paid my own way through college. Student loans, part-time jobs, scholarships I'd applied for myself. I'd graduated with $40,000 in debt. When I'd asked Dad sophomore year if he could help with even a portion of tuition, he'd said, Emma, you're smart and capable. You'll figure it out. That's what student loans are for. It'll teach you responsibility. But Melissa gets a wedding and a house. I'm not proud of the thoughts I had that night. The anger, the resentment, the bitter jealousy. I wanted to be above it. I wanted to be the bigger person, the mature one, the one who didn't keep score. But I was so angry I couldn't see straight. It wasn't fair. None of it was fair. I knew life wasn't fair. I'd known that since I was a kid. But this wasn't life being unfair. This was my parents actively choosing to favor one child over the other. To celebrate one daughter while ignoring the other. And I was supposed to smile and be happy about it. The wedding was 2 weeks away when I finally confronted him. I'd spent the day running errands for Melissa. Picking up the wedding favors, little bottles of honey with custom labels. Dropping off the final payment to the florist. Confirming details with the venue coordinator. Double-checking the timeline with the photographer. I came home exhausted at 6 p.m. My feet hurt. My head hurt. I was tired of being helpful. Dad was in his office, on the phone. I waited in the doorway until he hung up. "Hey kiddo, what's up? Can we talk?" "Sure, shoot." I closed the door. Sat down in the chair across from his desk. "I need you to be honest with me about something." He leaned back in his chair, studying me. "Okay. Sounds serious. Why didn't you come to my graduation?" He blinked. "Emma, we've been over this." "No, we haven't." "Not really. You said you had a business meeting. That it was time sensitive, that you couldn't miss it. But I want to know why that meeting was more important than my graduation." "It wasn't about importance." "Then what was it about?" He sighed. "Emma, you're putting me in an impossible position here." "How? How is asking why you missed my college graduation putting you in an impossible position?" "Because you're not going to like the answer." The words came out sharper than he'd intended. We both sat with them for a moment, the truth hanging in the air between us. "Try me," I said quietly. He rubbed his face. Looked at me. Really looked at me for the first time in what felt like months. "Your graduation was important," he said slowly, carefully. "But it wasn't a surprise, Emma. You've always succeeded. Always. Since you were a little kid, everything you've touched has turned to gold. I knew you'd graduate with honors because you've never done anything less than perfectly. There was no suspense, no worry. I knew you'd be fine. So you didn't come because you knew I'd succeed anyway?" "That's not what I'm saying." "Then what are you saying?" He leaned forward, elbows on his desk. "I'm saying that Melissa needs more support. She always has. She struggles more, needs more guidance, more help. And this wedding, this marriage, this is a huge step for her. Bigger than anything she's done before. She needs me there, actively involved, making sure everything goes right. Making sure she doesn't mess it up. And I don't need you? You're more self-sufficient. That's not the same thing as not needing you, Dad. Isn't it?" I stared at him. "Do you actually believe that? That because I can do things on my own, I don't want you there? That I don't need you? I think you've never really needed me the way your sister does. I asked you to be there. 2 months in advance. I called you specifically, directly, to please come to my graduation. I asked you to save the date. I sent you the announcement. I gave you the schedule, the parking information, the seating section. How is that not needing you?" He didn't answer. "Dad. How is that not needing you?" "I don't know what you want me to say, Emma. I want you to say that you're sorry. I want you to acknowledge that you made a choice, and that choice hurt me. I want you to admit that you were wrong. I did what I thought was best for this family." "This family? You mean Melissa?" "That's not fair." "You know what's not fair?" I could hear my voice rising, couldn't stop it. Didn't want to stop it. "I have $40,000 in student loans. Melissa is getting a $100,000 wedding and a house. I paid my own way through everything while you told me it would build character. Melissa gets handed everything while you tell her she deserves the world. I stood alone at my graduation while you were on a plane to California. In 2 weeks, you're going to walk her down the aisle and give a speech about how you'd do anything for your little girl. So don't talk to me about fair, Dad. Silence. He looked uncomfortable. Actually uncomfortable. Maybe even ashamed, though that might have been wishful thinking. I'm proud of you, he finally said. I hope you know that. Are you? Are you really? Or are you just used to me succeeding, so it doesn't feel like anything special anymore? Emma. Because that's what it feels like. Like my achievements don't count because they're expected. Like I'm not worth celebrating because I don't need the help. Like loving me is optional because I'm going to be fine either way. That's not true. Prove it. What? Prove it. Tell me one time, one specific time, when you showed up for me the way you show up for Melissa. When you celebrated my success the way you celebrate hers. When you made me feel like I mattered as much. He opened his mouth. Closed it. Looked at me helplessly. He had nothing. That's what I thought, I said. I stood up to leave. Emma, wait. I stopped at the door. Didn't turn around. I am proud of you, he said again. I know I don't say it enough. I know I don't show it enough. But I am. You're brilliant and capable and you're going to do amazing things. I've always known that. I waited for more. An apology. An admission of fault. A promise to do better. Nothing came. Okay, I said. Good to know. I left his office. That conversation should have been the climax. The moment where everything came out, where we cleared the air, where things either got better or definitively ended. But it wasn't. Because that's not how family works. There's no neat resolution, no dramatic ending. Just the same patterns continuing, the same hurts accumulating, the same distance growing. 2 days later, Melissa came to me crying. It was late afternoon. I was in my room, reading a book for the pure escapism of it. There was a soft knock on my door. Emma? Can I come in? Yeah. She opened the door, and I could see immediately that she'd been crying. Her eyes were red, her makeup smeared. What's wrong? I asked, putting my book down. She came in, closed the door, sat on the edge of my bed. I need your help. Okay. With what? Derek's mom is trying to take over the wedding. She wants to invite 50 more people from their side, which completely throws off the seating chart. She hates my dress, she actually told me I look like I'm playing dress up. She keeps making comments about the venue being too casual. Emma, I can't handle it. Have you talked to Derek? He says I'm overreacting. He takes her side on everything. He says I'm being bridezilla, that his mom is just trying to help. But she's not helping, she's making everything worse. I moved over on the bed, making room for her. She collapsed next to me. I don't know if I can do this, she said quietly. Do what? Deal with his mom? Get married? Any of it. I looked at her. Really looked at her. Melissa, are you having second thoughts? She started crying again. I don't know. Maybe? Is it supposed to feel this hard? Wedding planning is stressful. That doesn't mean the marriage is wrong. But what if it is? What if I'm only doing this because everyone expects it? Because mom and dad are so excited and they're spending all this money and everyone's coming and I can't back out now? You can always back out. Can I? Really? After everything? I thought about the $80,000. The invitations that had already been sent. The deposits that were non-refundable. The dress hanging in Melissa's closet. The expectations. Do you love him? I asked. I think so. I don't know. How do you know? I don't know either. I've never been in love. She laughed through her tears. We're a mess, aren't we? Yeah. We are. We sat in silence for a minute. "What do you think I should do?" she finally asked. I wanted to tell her the truth. That she seemed miserable. That Derek seemed checked out. That their relationship looked like it was built on Dad's enthusiasm more than their actual compatibility. But I didn't say that. "Only you can answer that," I said instead. "But if you're having doubts, real doubts, you need to say something before it's too late." She wiped her eyes. "You're right. You're always right. I don't know what I'd do without you, Em. You'd be fine." "No, I'm serious. You're the only person who actually listens to me. Mom just wants me to be happy, but she doesn't hear what I'm actually saying. Dad's so focused on making everything perfect that he doesn't notice I'm freaking out. But you always notice." I softened despite myself. "That's what sisters are for." "I mean it. You're my rock. I know I don't say it enough, but I love you. And I'm sorry things have been so crazy. I've been so wrapped up in wedding stuff that I haven't been there for you." "It's okay." "It's not. I've been selfish. I haven't even asked about your new job. When do you start?" "July 1st. That's so soon. Are you excited? Nervous?" "Both. You're going to be amazing. You're always amazing." She hugged me tight. "Thank you for always being here. For always having my back." And just like that, I couldn't be angry at her. At Dad, yes. At the situation, absolutely. But Melissa wasn't the villain here. She was just being Melissa, living her life the way she always had, with everyone's attention and support and encouragement. She couldn't help that I'd never gotten the same. She'd never asked for the favoritism. She'd just accepted it as normal. She couldn't help that I'd been invisible. "Do you think I should talk to Derek?" she asked. "About how I'm feeling?" "Yes. Definitely. What if he gets mad?" "If he gets mad at you for expressing doubts before your wedding, that's probably information you need." She nodded. "You're right. Okay. I'll talk to him." She hugged me again and left. I sat there for a long time after she was gone, thinking about fairness and family and favoritism. The week before the wedding was pure chaos. Final fittings, last-minute vendor confirmations, family arriving from out of town. The house was constantly full of people, activity, noise. I threw myself into helping because it was easier than thinking. Easier than feeling. Derek's family arrived Wednesday, 3 days before the Saturday wedding. His parents, his 3 siblings and their spouses and kids, his grandmother who needed a walker and oxygen sometimes. Our house wasn't big enough for everyone, so Dad had booked hotel rooms at a nice place nearby. But they were still at our house constantly for meals and planning sessions. Derek's mom, Patricia, was exactly as Melissa had described. Overbearing, opinionated, critical. She had thoughts about everything and no qualms about sharing them. Thursday night was the rehearsal at the venue. We went through the ceremony order, the processional, who stood where, the timing of everything. I stood up front as maid of honor, holding a bouquet of fake flowers, pretending to be invested in whether the groomsmen should enter from the left or the right. After the rehearsal, we had the rehearsal dinner. Dad had booked out the private room at an expensive restaurant downtown. 50 people, open bar, multi-course meal. I sat at a table with Derek's siblings, making polite conversation about their kids and their jobs and their lives. Drinking wine I couldn't taste. Eating food I didn't want. At the end of the dinner, Dad stood up to give a speech. The room quieted. Everyone turned to look at him. "I want to thank everyone for being here," he started. His voice was warm, emotional already. "Seeing all of you, our families coming together, it reminds me what's really important in life. Not work, not money, not any of that. Family. Love. Connection." People nodded, smiled. "Melissa, Derek, watching you two find each other has been one of the greatest joys of my life." I watched him talk. Watched him get emotional. Watched him pull out his handkerchief, the one Mom had embroidered with his initials, to wipe his eyes. "Melissa, you're my baby girl. You always will be. From the moment you were born, you've had my whole heart. And I know every father says this, but it's true, I would do anything for you. Cross oceans, move mountains, anything. Your happiness is my happiness." People were crying. Mom, Melissa, Derek's mom, some of the aunts. Even Derek's brother looked misty. Seeing you this happy, knowing you've found someone who loves you the way Derek does, it makes everything worth it. Every challenge, every struggle, all of it led to this moment. And I'm so grateful. He raised his wine glass. So let's raise a glass. To Melissa and Derek. May your marriage be filled with love, laughter, and all the support you could ever need. We're here for you. Always and forever. Whatever you need, whenever you need it. To Melissa and Derek, everyone echoed. Glasses clinked. People drank. I raised my glass with everyone else. Put it to my lips. The wine tasted like ash. That phrase kept echoing in my head. I would do anything for you. Cross oceans, move mountains, anything. He'd crossed an ocean. He'd literally gotten on a plane and flown across the country. Just not for me. After the dinner ended, people lingered, talking and laughing. I slipped outside, needing air, needing space. I stood in the parking lot, looking up at the stars, trying to breathe. "Emma?" I turned. Dad was walking toward me. "You okay, kiddo?" "Fine. You left pretty quick." "Just needed air." He stood next to me, looking up at the sky too. "Beautiful night," he said. "Yeah." We stood in silence for a minute. "Your speech was nice," I finally said. "Thanks. I meant every word." "I know you did." More silence. "Dad, can I ask you something?" "Sure. Do you remember my graduation?" His shoulders tensed. "Emma, come on. Not tonight. I'm not trying to start a fight. I just want to know if you remember it. The date, the time, any of it." He was quiet for a long moment. "May 15th. 2 o'clock. Outdoor amphitheater." "So you remember." "Of course I remember. But you didn't come." "I've explained." "I know what you've explained. I'm asking why you really didn't come. Not the business meeting excuse. The real reason." He looked at me. The parking lot lights cast shadows on his face. "Because I didn't think you needed me there," he finally said. "Didn't need you? Or you didn't want to be there?" "That's not." "Which is it, Dad?" He sighed. "Emma, you're successful and smart and completely self-sufficient. You don't need the same kind of support Melissa does. You never have. That's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. I'm proud of how independent you are. You keep saying you're proud. But you've never shown up to prove it." "That's not true." "When? When have you shown up for me the way you show up for her?" He didn't answer. "That's what I thought," I said quietly. I started walking back toward the restaurant. "Emma, wait." I stopped. Didn't turn around. "I'm sorry I wasn't there." "I am. If I could go back and change it, I would." "Would he? Would he really?" "But you can't," I said. "So it doesn't matter." I walked away. The wedding day was perfect. Objectively, everything went exactly as planned. The weather was beautiful, sunny, 75 degrees, light breeze. The venue looked incredible. The flowers were stunning. The photographer got amazing shots. The ceremony was lovely. I stood at the altar in my blush pink bridesmaid dress, holding a bouquet of peonies and roses, watching my sister marry someone she maybe loved, maybe didn't, I still wasn't sure. I watched my father walk her down the aisle with tears streaming down his face. Watched him place her hand in Derek's. Watched him kiss her cheek and whisper something that made her laugh through her tears. Watched him sit down in the front row next to Mom, holding her hand, both of them crying with joy. The ceremony was lovely. The officiant told stories about Melissa and Derek that were sweet and funny. The vows were personal and emotional. Melissa cried, Derek cried, half the audience cried. I stood there with a perfect smile plastered on my face, feeling absolutely nothing. Numb. At the reception, I gave my maid of honor speech. I'd written it the night before, carefully crafted to strike the right balance of humor and sentiment. I talked about growing up with Melissa. About her being the brave one, the adventurous one, the one who dove into life headfirst while I calculated the risks. I told funny stories from our childhood. I talked about watching her fall in love with Derek, about how happy he made her. I made everyone laugh in the right places and tear up in the emotional moments. I meant some of it. Not all of it, maybe not even most of it. But some. People loved it. They clapped and cheered. Melissa was crying again, happy tears. Derek was beaming. Mom mouthed beautiful at me from across the room. After my speech, Dad gave his father of the bride toast. It was longer than mine. More emotional. More personal. He talked about the day Melissa was born. About holding her for the first time and feeling his entire world shift. About her first steps and first words and first day of school. About her first heartbreak in high school and how he'd wanted to protect her from every hurt in the world. He talked about watching her grow into this amazing woman. About being so proud of the person she'd become. About how lucky Derek was to have her, and how grateful he was that Derek saw how special she was. This is a once-in-a-lifetime moment for her, he said at one point, looking directly at Melissa with so much love in his eyes it hurt to watch. And I'm honored to be here for it. To witness this. To celebrate you, Princess. Today and always. The room erupted in applause. I excused myself to the bathroom before he finished. That's where I was, standing at the sink, mascara running despite the waterproof formula, trying to pull myself together, when Mom's text came through. Please don't make a scene. Not today. I stared at that text for a long time. I hadn't said anything. Hadn't done anything. Hadn't made a scene. I was being perfectly pleasant, perfectly helpful, perfectly fine. But she knew. She could tell I was breaking inside. And her response was to tell me not to ruin Melissa's day with my feelings. I cleaned up my makeup. Fixed my face. Checked my reflection until I looked normal again. Then I went back out to the reception. The rest of the evening passed in a blur. Dancing, more toasts, cake cutting, bouquet toss. I smiled and laughed and played my role perfectly. I danced with Derek's brother, who was drunk and handsy. I danced with my uncle who asked why I wasn't married yet. I danced with one of the groomsmen who spent the entire song talking about his ex-girlfriend. At one point, Dad found me at the bar. Having fun, kiddo? It's a beautiful wedding. It really is. He looked out at the dance floor where Melissa and Derek were swaying together, lost in their own world. I'm glad we could give her this. We. Like I'd had any part in it. Dad, can I ask you something? His smile faltered. Emma, please. Not tonight. I just want to know if you remember my graduation. We've been over this. I know. But I need to hear you say it. Do you remember choosing to miss my graduation? He looked at me for a long moment. Yes. I remember. And do you regret it? Emma. Just answer the question. Do you regret it? He sighed. I regret that it hurt you. But you don't regret the choice itself. I did what I thought was right at the time. Right for who? For the family. For Melissa, you mean? For both of you. I know you don't see it that way, but everything I do is for both of you. I looked at him. At his expensive suit, his emotional eyes, his complete conviction that he'd done nothing wrong. You really believe that, I said. You actually believe that? Because it's true. I shook my head. No, Dad. It's not. But you keep telling yourself that if it helps you sleep at night. I walked away before he could respond. The wedding ended at midnight. Melissa and Derek left in a car decorated with streamers and cans, heading to their hotel before their flight to Hawaii the next morning. Everyone else lingered, cleaning up, helping pack decorations, talking about what a beautiful day it had been. I helped load gifts into cars. I helped fold tablecloths. I smiled and thanked people for coming and agreed that yes, it was a beautiful wedding. We got home at 2 in the morning. I went straight to my temporary bedroom and collapsed on the bed, still in my bridesmaid dress. Too tired to cry. Too numb to feel anything. I woke up the next morning to voices downstairs. Dad was on the phone with someone, telling the story of the wedding, laughing about drunk Uncle Mike, describing how beautiful Melissa looked. Mom was in the kitchen, already planning to get the professional photos framed, talking about which ones would go where in the house. I packed my bags. Everything I'd brought, everything I owned that was still at this house, all going back into my car. You're leaving? Mom asked when I came downstairs with my suitcase. I thought you were staying through next weekend. I need to get ready for my job. Starts Monday. That was a lie. My job didn't start for another 3 weeks. But I couldn't stay here. Couldn't breathe here. Emma, don't be like this. Like what? You know what? This attitude. The wedding was beautiful, everyone had a wonderful time. Don't ruin it by being petty. I'm not being petty, Mom. I'm leaving. Dad appeared from his office. Emma, your mother's right. Stay. We'll have a nice family day, just the 3 of us. We can go to brunch, maybe see a movie. Pass. Come on, kiddo. Don't be mad. I looked at him. Really looked at him. I'm not mad, Dad. I'm done. Done with what? With waiting for you to see me the way you see her. With hoping that one day I'll matter as much. With telling myself it doesn't hurt when you choose her over and over and over again. That's not fair, he said, and his voice had an edge now. I've given you everything. I've supported you, encouraged you, been proud of you. What more do you want? I wanted you at my graduation. That's all. That's literally all I wanted. And you couldn't even give me that. I've apologized for that. No, you haven't. You've said you regret hurting me. That's not the same thing as apologizing for your choice. I don't have to listen to this. You're right. You don't. You never have. I walked past them, out to my car. Started loading my bags. Mom followed me out. Emma, please. Don't leave like this. We love you. You know that, right? We love you just as much as Melissa. Maybe you do, Mom. But you don't show it the same way. And I can't keep pretending that doesn't matter. What do you want from us? I wanted you at my graduation. I wanted you to care about my achievements the way you care about hers. I wanted to matter. That's what I wanted. Past tense. I don't want it anymore. Because you're giving up? Because you're running away? No. Because I'm choosing myself. For the first time in my life, I'm choosing to be around people who actually see me. She didn't have an answer to that. I got in my car. She stood in the driveway, crying now. I almost felt bad. Almost. But then I remembered standing alone at my graduation, and I didn't feel bad anymore. I drove away. I didn't go far. Just to a hotel about 30 minutes outside the city. Checked in with my duffel bag and laptop, told them I'd need the room for a few weeks. I went up to room 237, locked the door, and finally, completely, fell apart. The breakdown I'd been holding back for months. Maybe years. I'm talking full collapse. Sobbing on the bathroom floor, hyperventilating, gasping for air, the works. All the emotions I'd been carefully containing, the hurt, the anger, the grief, the loneliness, all came pouring out at once. I cried for the little girl who learned early that her achievements didn't count. I cried for the teenager who convinced herself she preferred being independent. I cried for the college student who walked across the stage alone. I cried for the 24-year-old woman who still, stupidly, desperately wanted her father to be proud of her. I cried until my throat was raw and my eyes were swollen and I had nothing left. Then I got up, washed my face, and looked at myself in the mirror. Red eyes. Blotchy skin. Exhausted. But there was something else there too. Something I hadn't seen in a long time. Clarity. I was done waiting for them to see me. Done waiting for my turn, for the recognition I deserved, for the love that should have been freely given. I was done. And that realization, as painful as it was, felt like freedom. I stayed at that hotel for 3 weeks. Ordered room service, watched bad TV, read books, slept too much, existed in a bubble of numbness and healing. Melissa texted from her honeymoon. Photos of beaches and tropical drinks and her and Derek looking happy. I responded with generic enthusiasm. Looks amazing. So beautiful. Have fun. Mom called 3 times. I didn't answer. She left voicemails asking me to call back, saying we needed to talk, saying she missed me. Dad didn't call at all. I started my job on July 1st. Research associate at a biomedical engineering facility. The work was challenging and engaging and exactly what I'd hoped for. My coworkers were smart and funny and actually interested in me as a person. They asked about my life, my interests, my thoughts. They listened when I talked. They saw me. I found an apartment. Small, affordable, mine. I bought furniture from IKEA and assembled it myself. Hung pictures on the walls. Made it home. I built a life. Slowly, carefully, intentionally. And I was happy. Or I was getting there. 3 months after the wedding, Melissa called crying. It was a Tuesday night. I was making dinner in my tiny kitchen, pasta with vegetables, simple and easy. My phone rang. Melissa's name on the screen. I almost didn't answer. But something made me pick up. Hello? Emma? Her voice was thick with tears. Can you talk? I turned off the stove. Yeah. What's wrong? Everything. Everything is wrong. She started sobbing. The marriage is in trouble. Derek is working 80-hour weeks at a job he hates, trying to pay for the restaurant that's failing. We're fighting constantly. I'm so lonely, Em. I'm so lonely and I don't know what to do. Have you talked to Mom and Dad? Dad keeps saying it'll be fine, that all marriages go through rough patches, that we just need to work harder. But it doesn't feel fine. It feels like we made a huge mistake and now we're trapped. You're not trapped, Melissa. If it's not working, we can't get divorced. We've been married 3 months. Everyone would be so disappointed. Dad spent all that money, everyone came to the wedding. We can't just give up. It's your life. If you're unhappy, I just need to try harder. Work harder at it. That's what Dad says. That marriage takes work and I need to commit to it. She didn't want advice. She wanted permission to keep being miserable. I couldn't give her that. We talked for over an hour. I listened to her cry, made sympathetic sounds, asked gentle questions. Didn't say what I was really thinking, that she'd rushed into a marriage to please Dad, that she'd never really figured out who she was or what she wanted, that she was still living her life for everyone else's approval. After we hung up, I sat on my couch for a long time, thinking. Melissa was trapped. Different trap than mine, but trapped nonetheless. Living her life according to Dad's expectations, Dad's vision, Dad's approval. I'd escaped by leaving. But she was still there, still trying to be who he wanted her to be, still measuring her worth by his pride. And she was miserable. I almost felt sorry for her. 6 months after the wedding, Melissa called again. More crying. More marriage problems. Derek wanted to close the restaurant, cut their losses. Melissa didn't want to disappoint Dad by admitting failure. I listened. I sympathized. I gently suggested marriage counseling. She said she'd think about it. She didn't go. A year after the wedding, I went home for Christmas. First time I'd been back since I'd left after the wedding. First time seeing my parents in a year. Mom had begged me to come. Melissa had begged me. Even Dad had sent a text, short, awkward, saying it would mean a lot if I was there. I almost said no. But something in me wanted to see them. Wanted to see if anything had changed. The house looked the same. Decorated for the holidays like something out of a catalog. Lights, garland, a huge tree in the living room covered in ornaments from our childhood. Picture perfect. Mom hugged me tight when I arrived. I'm so glad you're here. I've missed you so much. Missed you too, Mom. Melissa and Derek were already there. They looked tired. Strained. But they were still together, still trying to make it work. Melissa hugged me. Thank you for coming. It means everything. Derek shook my hand. Good to see you, Emma. Dad was in his chair, watching football. He looked up when I came in. Hey kiddo. Hey Dad. That was it. Our entire exchange. Dinner was uncomfortable. Everyone trying too hard to be normal, to pretend the past year hadn't happened. Melissa talked about the restaurant. They'd pivoted, changed the menu, were starting to see some success. Derek talked about his new job, better hours, better pay, better everything. Mom talked about her book club and her garden and a cruise she and Dad were planning. Dad talked about his latest investment opportunity. Real estate in Arizona. Nobody asked about my job. My apartment. My life. 20 minutes into dinner, I realized nothing had changed. I was still invisible. After dinner, I helped Mom clean up. We were alone in the kitchen, loading the dishwasher, when she finally said something real. Your father wants to talk to you. About what? I think you should hear it from him. I found him in his office. Same desk, same chair, same everything. Close the door, he said. I did. I've been thinking about what you said. After the wedding. About me not being there for you. I waited. And you were right. I haven't been fair to you. I got used to you being independent, being successful, and I took it for granted. I'm sorry for that. An apology. An actual apology. I'd been waiting for this for over a year. So why did it feel hollow? Thank you for saying that, I said carefully. I mean it, Emma. I want to do better. I want to be more present in your life, more involved. Tell me what you need from me. What did I need from him? A year ago, I would have had a list. Call me more. Ask about my life. Show up when it matters. Care. But now? I don't know, Dad. He looked surprised. What do you mean? I mean, I've spent the last year learning how to live without your approval. Without your presence. And I'm okay. Better than okay, actually. I'm happy. That's good. That's what I want for you. Is it? Of course it is. I want both my daughters to be happy. Then why does it feel like you only celebrate one of us? He sighed. Emma, we've been over this. I know. And you've apologized. And I appreciate that. But Dad, an apology doesn't change the pattern. Doesn't undo the years of me feeling invisible. Doesn't make up for missing my graduation. What do you want me to do? I can't go back and change the past. I know. And that's the problem. We sat in silence. I don't know how to fix this, he finally said. He sounded genuinely lost. Genuinely confused. I don't know if you can, I said honestly. But if you want to try, actually try, it starts with showing up. Not when it's convenient. Not when you've got nothing else going on. When it matters. I can do that. Can you? Because you've said that before. I mean it this time. I wanted to believe him. Some small, stupid part of me still wanted to believe him. Okay, I said. We'll see. That was 2 years ago now. I'm 27. I've been at my job for 3 years. I have friends, a life, hobbies. I'm dating someone who actually shows up when he says he will. Dad has tried. I'll give him that. He calls more often, usually once a week. Asks about work, about my apartment, about my life. Sometimes the calls feel genuine. Sometimes they feel like he's checking off a box. He remembered my birthday this year without Mom reminding him. Sent flowers to my office with a card that said, "Proud of you, kiddo." Small things. Not enough to undo the past. But something. Melissa and Derek divorced last year. The restaurant failed, the marriage followed. They'd tried counseling, tried separating, tried everything before finally admitting it wasn't working. Dad was devastated. He'd invested so much, financially, emotionally, into their perfect life. Into Melissa's happiness. Watching it all fall apart broke something in him. Melissa moved back home for 6 months. Slept in her preserved childhood bedroom, surrounded by memories of who she used to be, trying to figure out who she was now. We talked more during that time. Real conversations, not just surface-level sister stuff. She apologized for the wedding, for not noticing how much I was hurting. For taking all the attention and support without questioning why I never got the same. I didn't realize, she kept saying. I'm so sorry, Em. I didn't realize. I believed her. She genuinely hadn't seen it because she'd never had to look for it. She'd lived her whole life in the spotlight, in Dad's focus, never questioning whether it was fair or right or normal. Now she understood what it felt like to disappoint him. To not live up to his vision. To be the one who failed. I didn't wish that pain on her. But I won't lie and say there wasn't some bitter satisfaction in her finally understanding. We've gotten closer since then. Actual sisterhood, built on honesty instead of roles we'd been assigned since childhood. She's doing better now. Living on her own, working at a job she actually likes, dating someone who treats her well. Building a life that's hers, not Dad's vision of what her life should be. Mom still tries to referee. Tries to keep the peace. Tells me I should be more forgiving, tells Dad he should try harder, tells Melissa she's strong and will get through this. She means well. She always means well. But she's still missing the point. The point is this: I spent my whole life being invisible in my competence. Being overlooked because I didn't need rescuing. Being ignored because my success was expected and therefore unremarkable. And I'm done with it. I'm done waiting for my father to see me the way he saw my sister. Done hoping that one day my achievements will matter as much as her milestones. Done pretending it doesn't hurt that he missed my graduation but flew across the country for her wedding. He didn't miss my graduation. Let me be clear about that. He chose not to come. Made an active decision to get on a plane to California instead of watching me walk across that stage. And that choice taught me everything I needed to know about where I stood in his priorities. So here I am now. 27 years old, living a life I built entirely myself. Good job that I earned. Great apartment that I pay for. Real friends who show up when they say they will. A relationship with someone who sees me, actually sees me, and chooses me consistently. I'm happy. Or I'm getting there. Happier than I've ever been. And I learned something important through all of this. Something I wish I'd understood earlier but am grateful to know now. I didn't need my father at my graduation. I didn't need his approval, his pride, his presence to succeed. I walked across that stage alone and still graduated with honors. Still got the job. Still built a good life. I didn't need him. But I wanted him there. I wanted it so badly it physically hurt. And that's the part I'm still working through. The difference between need and want. The understanding that I can be completely fine, completely successful, completely whole without his validation, and still wish I had it. Still wish he'd chosen me. Just once. The story doesn't have a neat ending because real life rarely does. Dad and I have a relationship now. It's better than it was. Not good, maybe not even okay, but better. We're working on it. He tries. Sometimes he succeeds. Sometimes he falls back into old patterns, canceling plans when something comes up for Melissa, forgetting details about my life while remembering everything about hers, showing more enthusiasm for her successes than mine. But he tries. And I appreciate the effort, even when it falls short. Melissa and I have rebuilt our sisterhood on more honest ground. She sees me now. Really sees me. Asks about my life and actually listens to the answers. Shows up when I need her. Celebrates my wins without making it about herself. Mom's still trying to fix everything and missing that some things can't be fixed. That some damage is permanent. That you can forgive without forgetting, and move forward without moving on. And me? I'm learning to be okay with all of it. The imperfect relationships, the complicated family dynamics, the permanent scars from feeling invisible for so long. I'm learning that being strong enough to do it alone doesn't mean I should have had to. That independence isn't the same as not needing support. That just because I can handle it doesn't mean I want to handle it alone. I graduated summa cum laude from a competitive biomedical engineering program with a job lined up and my whole future ahead of me. I did it without my parents cheering in the audience. Without my father's pride. Without the validation I'd spent my whole life hoping for. I did it alone. And I survived. More than survived, I thrived. But I shouldn't have had to do it alone. My father should have been there. Should have chosen to be there. Should have seen my graduation as the once-in-a-lifetime moment it was, not just another expected achievement from his capable daughter. He should have crossed that ocean for me too. And the fact that he didn't? That will always hurt. That wound might scab over, might fade, might become bearable. But it will never fully heal. Because some absences leave permanent marks. Some choices can't be undone. Some moments can't be reclaimed. I can forgive him. I'm working on forgiving him. But I will never forget standing alone in that crowd, watching families celebrate while mine chose to be elsewhere. I will never forget reading that text, something came up. We'll celebrate later, and knowing, absolutely knowing, that I didn't matter enough. So to everyone watching this who's ever felt invisible in their own family, who's ever been the responsible one who didn't need the attention, who's ever walked through a milestone alone while someone else got the celebration, I see you. Your achievements matter. Your milestones count. Your hurt is valid. Your anger is justified. Your grief is real. You shouldn't have had to do it alone. And the fact that you did, that you succeeded anyway, that you built a life despite the lack of support. That doesn't make the abandonment okay. That doesn't mean you're wrong for wanting what you deserved. You deserved to have them there. You deserved the celebration, the pride, the joy. You deserved to matter. And if your family couldn't see that, couldn't show up for you, couldn't make you a priority, that's their failure. Not yours. You are not invisible because you're competent. You are not unworthy because you're independent. You are not less important because you don't need rescuing. You matter. Your story matters. Your pain matters. and you deserved better. If this story resonated with you, please leave a comment below. Tell me where you're watching from. Tell me your story. Share your graduation moment, your invisible achievement, your time of being overlooked. Let's build a community of people who see each other, even when our families didn't. Hit that subscribe button for more stories like this. Real stories about family, favoritism, survival, and finding yourself when the people who were supposed to build you up let you down. Hit the like button if you understand what it feels like to be invisible in your competence. If you've ever been the responsible one, the capable one, the one who got overlooked because you didn't seem to need the attention. Comment where you're from. Comment your story. Comment if this hit home. I read every single comment, and I want to hear from you. I want to know I'm not alone in this, and I want you to know you're not alone either. Because we're not alone. There are thousands of us. Millions maybe. The overlooked children, the capable ones, the ones who succeeded despite the lack of support. And our stories matter. Remember this, you didn't need them to succeed. Your achievements are yours, earned through your hard work and dedication and refusal to give up. But you deserve to have them there anyway. You deserve the celebration. The pride. The joy. The simple act of showing up. And if they couldn't give you that? That's their loss. Not yours. You are enough. You've always been enough. Even when they couldn't see it. Especially then. My father forgot my graduation. Or rather, he chose to miss it. He chose to get on a plane to California for my sister's wedding planning instead of watching me walk across that stage. He chose her. Again. But I choose me now. Every day, I choose me. And that's the real ending. Not revenge, not reconciliation, not a dramatic confrontation where everything gets resolved. Just me, choosing myself. Finally. That's my story. That's what happened when my father forgot my graduation but flew across the country for my sister's wedding. He taught me that I was strong enough to do it alone. But more importantly, he taught me that I deserved better than having to. And now I surround myself with people who understand that. Who show up. Who choose me. Who see me. Because I'm done being invisible. I'm done waiting. I'm done. And I'm finally free.